Club. Looking forward to a lovely display. It's a really lovely historic aircraft. Dates back to the 1930s. The first ever Stomp was designed by a gentleman called John Stomp and Guy Vertigen, and they built it as a biplane training aircraft. The first ever Stomp flew in 1933. So we're continuing our aviation heritage on day 2 of Clacton Air Show. If you look just past the pier, if you're on the beach, you can see the big orange buoy just out to the top of the pier. And just above that, we have a 3-ship of the Stomp formation team approaching the beach, running in for their wonderful display. Should we give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Stomp formation display team?
There's three planes come over now.
Display team, they're running in for the display, flying in a VIC-3 formation. This is a pointy arrow, which is a typical formation maneuver that a lot of the air displays use for the start of the display. You get a lovely view of the aircraft as they fly over the central commentary point here at Clacton Beach. We've got 3 Richards flying, just to make it difficult for me, all the way from the Tiger Club in Kent. The lead aircraft is a red and white aircraft, and to his left is a cream and green aircraft, and to the right a yellow and blue. You should get some wonderful photographs this afternoon of the beautiful Stomps. As the 3-ship bank over towards where the wind farm is, you can see the wonderful design on the top of the wing, kind of diagonal pattern design. They're very pretty little aircraft, as many of the Belgian aircraft were. And you can see as they fly towards the centre of the commentary point here, the beautiful design of the biplane, still flying in a VIC-3 formation. You can see the yellow aircraft is waggling his wings a little bit there, just adjusting for wind as he makes his turn. We're going to see plenty of wing overs, which is really a clever way of changing direction in a very graceful manner. We'll fly. The Stomp aircraft is actually designed with an inverted engine, which means it can fly upside down, unlike the Tiger Moth. Now, as I said earlier, the Stomp was designed in the sort of 1930s era. The first model was an SV4A. It then became an SV4B as an advanced aerobatic trainer. It had redesigned wings and a 130 horsepower de Havilland Gypsy major engine. Now, the team are now splitting off. We've got smoke trailing from one of the aircraft as he makes a beautiful wing over left and then banking over towards the wind farm. They repositioned themselves into a liner stern, which is basically follow my leader. Now, if you look closely, you'll be able to see the pilots. They will be able to see you today, so do make sure you give them plenty of waves as they bank round to a wing over to the right. You can see the beautiful, graceful way that they're flying these aircraft and pulling up and banking over towards the wind farm. Very pretty little airplane. I'm very fond of this. Now, the Stomps were primarily used by the French Air Force. Originally, there was just 35 aircraft built during World War II, and then it was introduced to the Belgian Air Force. They continued to fly it in the Belgian Air Force all the way through to 1975, and later 940 of them were licensed as the SV4 model to fly in both France and Algeria. Many of the aircraft ended up at aero clubs throughout France and then later to the UK. And most of the stomps that you see at air shows today are privately owned or belong to museums. Flying centre over the beach now, the aircraft are moving back from round the robin, chasing each other to the Vic-3 formation manoeuvre again, as they point out towards the sea, just heading towards the end of the pier. The Stomp is really a favourite aircraft with many display pilots, and many of them favour it to the Tiger Moth, which is its English sister biplane aircraft. Lots of the pilots say the Stomp is prettier. I have to say I do agree. And if you look closely at the tail of the aircraft, you'll see it's got a rounded rudder and wing shape compared to the more angular design of the de Havilland shape of the Tiger Moth. Now, one of the team members who's not actually flying today, Roger, he flies from my local aerodrome. We were having a chat about the Stomp recently, and he said to me, comparing it to the Stomp, it just does it better. The controls have a more immediate effect, whereas it's a slightly delayed response with the Tiger Moth. And he said it's such a graceful aircraft to fly, and there's nothing more satisfying than looking at the sun glint over the wing. And we have a wonderful view of that on this glorious sunny day here at Clacton Air Show. Centre crowd now, the aircraft are line astern, all one after the other, pointing towards the crowd. Get your cameras ready, as I think we might be getting ready for a brake manoeuvre. Oh, isn't that wonderful? Just gracefully done there, the banking over. We've got a great view of the underbelly of the aircraft as they bank around, wing over left towards the pier on the yellow aircraft, pointing directly out to sea to the wing farm. And the lead aircraft, the red and white one, is pulling up and doing a gentle aileron roll. Just a very graceful, gentle manoeuvre, which is often seen at a lot of aerobatic competitions. So a kind of basic level of aerobatic competitions, which would have been like originally in like the 1970s and 80s, you would have seen the Stomp, a kind of routine for a basic aerobatic pilot this first go at competition would do something like a loop, a wing over, and then an aileron roll where the aircraft turns completely 360 degrees. It sounds like an easy manoeuvre to do, but it's actually quite tricky to keep it correct and keep the aircraft at the right altitude and not turn around and then end up sort of diving down or climbing. So it takes a little bit of practice. It's very satisfying when you get it right.
Now, Sam, I have on the commentary point a special guest who was going to be taking us through the Great War display. Sadly, that's the one casualty today because of the wind. Debs Boddington. I'm sorry we can't see your team today, but you're paying particular attention to this lot, aren't you?
I certainly am. I was very lucky as a child. My father used to fly a Stomp, and I spent a lot of my childhood in the front of one.
What's it like inside then?
Because the seat is temporary, you actually can't see out very much. And being little, I was put in the front and just had to hope that I got to where I was supposed to be going because I couldn't see.
How old would you have been when you were in the Stomp?
I started about age 5. Dad took me everywhere with him from the age of 5, dropped me off at an air show and picked me up 8 hours later.
No wonder you love it so much, and tinged with such sadness that we won't see the Great War display today, but the conditions where they're based just not suitable for takeoff.
No, unfortunately not. It's much windier, as Dave said, up north, and the other casualty was the 4th Stomp, which came from the same area as we were coming from, so we're really sad not to have been able to display at Clacton today.
Well, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. Oh, I think it was something like that Meatloaf sang about. Debs, thank you so much for being with us nonetheless, and helping us with our programmes today.
You're very welcome. It's good to be here.
Debs Boddington, commentator with the Great War display team, also a sister of the leader of that display team, but sadly they're not, with the tutor coming in very soon after the Stomp team. Look at this now, as all 3 of them in line look like they're heading directly for us, don't they?
Yes, the 3 Stomps are heading straight towards the beach. I think they may be pulling up. Oh, look at that, a wonderful break. Well, that's lovely. All 3 of the aircraft broke in different directions. One to the left, one to the right, one above. Now, the Stomp formation team actually grew out of the Tiger Club, which was the oldest established flying clubs in the world. It's the club that I joined when I wanted to learn to fly and decided I wanted to start tail wheel and do it the difficult old way. And back in the 1970s, Chris Jessen, who was a member of the Tiger Club and an owner of one of the Stomps that still displays with the team today, he decided to create the Stomp formation team. They then appeared at many shows during the 80s and 90s, and at some point they displayed with 2 Stomps and 2 Tigers, which was always a fun display. And then Chris was really well known for his solo aerobatics as well. So we're getting a wing waggle from the 2 lead aircraft as they head back towards the direction of Clacton Aero Club, and the lead aeroplane, the red and white one, is now pulling up for a solo aerobatic routine. We're going to be absolutely delighted now. It really, truly is like a ballet in the sky.
Wow. And set against the blue sky.
Would walk like formation routines on the ground and learn their positions, and the old techniques still ring true today. A lot of these old aircraft, the radios aren't actually very good, so often when they're flying in close formation they use hand signals. So they kind of like, the leader will like pump his hand up and down 3 times and then hold his fingers apart to say bomb 1, 2, 3 and break, and the other pilots will look and watch those hand signals. So it just rings true that sometimes the old ways are the better.
We've got the Beach Patrol jet ski out in front of us on the commentary point at the moment, just making sure everybody is safe. The advice, I'm afraid, is that you can't go into the water whilst the flying is taking place, so play on the beach by all means. It's lovely to see so many on the beach today as we look left to right, but you cannot go into the water and swim whilst the aircraft are flying above us.
And a lovely demonstration of a beautiful aileron roll just there as the aircraft just very slowly turned on the 360 with complete accuracy. The Stomp was chosen for aerobatic flying because it really has such aerobatic prowess, got excellent handling qualities, and it also has a precise formation mount which makes it ideal for flying in aerobatic competitions. Back in the 70s and 80s, the Stomps were really busy in international team flying at shows. There was a very famous team called the Rothmans aerobatic team in the early 1970s, and in France, La Patrie de Saint-Guyon was another well-known team. During its time with the Rothmans, the Stomp was flown by really well-known pilots such as Neil Williams, Manx Kelly, and Barry Tempest, who Debs, you were just speaking to, used to fly her when he was flying the Tiger Moth, and she'd stand on the wing and wing walk on top.
Absolutely crazy. A quick hi to CJ, Teddy, JJ, Samantha and Charlie. They're watching in the crowd somewhere. They are the biggest fans of the air show, says Mia. And could you give my granddad Bob a shout out, please? We're by the railings at the Greensward, loving it. Of course I can, Lewis. And now get your cameras ready for the final pass before we welcome the tutor. So cameras at the ready before we say goodbye to the Stomp formation.
And a lovely wing waggle there from the lead pilot, the team leader, Richard Ward, all the way from Kent today, who was joined by Richard Burliand and another Richard, just to make it simple, Richard Meredith. So thank you to the three Richards.
You might be able to see our tutor now. He's just coming in from the east of the beach.
Looking stunning if you're listening at home. That white aircraft set against a blue sky, and look out for that rather large canopy, a training aircraft. I'm sure Lloyd was going to take us through all of that on what it's used for and what Bob's going to be doing in it today for us here at Clacton.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the 2024 Royal Air Force Tutor Display. My name is Flight Lieutenant Lloyd Mamet, and I'm the Tutor Display Manager this season. It's a pleasure to display the Grob for you all today. And now, from the centre, at nearly 200 miles per hour, is the Tutor Display pilot, Flight Lieutenant Bob Hughes. As he pulls up at 5G, he converts his speed into height to perform his first manoeuvre, the hammerhead. Flight Lieutenant Hughes was born in Carmarthen, South Wales, and started his flying career in the Royal Air Force in 1989, flying the VC-10 out of RAF Bryce Norton, and then as a search and rescue pilot on the Sea King. From the end of this half horizontal, Bob will push negative 2G to level the aircraft upside down for the inverted pass. This is Bob's first year with the tutor display. He's operating at a base height of 500 foot, except the two final passes at 300 foot. The next two manoeuvres are the wing over and the ballistic roll, which Bob can use to gain energy for the next part of the sequence. The ballistic rolls are flown in opposite directions to maintain his line.
There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our mind.
When not displaying, Bob is a qualified flying instructor on 115 Squadron, based at RAF Wittering, where he trains the future generation of Royal Air Force pilots, as well as converting frontline pilots into qualified flying instructors. During his varied career, Bob has amassed over 8,000 flying hours on 15 different aircraft types. This represents over a full year in the air. After completing this half Cuban, Bob will enter the slow roll. Get your cameras ready for some great angles. Throughout the slow roll, Bob will skillfully coordinate elevator, rudder and aileron inputs to keep the lift vector pointing upwards. This prevents him from descending towards the ground. The tutor has a top speed of 212 miles per hour and can achieve maximum positive 6G, meaning the pilot is subject to forces 6 times stronger than gravity. Next, we have another wing over, a combined pitching and rolling manoeuvre, used to turn the flight path through 180 degrees. You'll notice that every wing over is slightly different, as Bob carefully selects his flight path to cater for differing wind conditions and aircraft energy states.
He's told us not to blow it. Let the children use it. Let all the children boogie. Starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to come and meet us, but he thinks he'd blow our mind. He's a starman waiting in the sky.
Bob now rolls 90 degrees whilst pointing straight up, before completing a stall turn at almost 0 airspeed. The two 90-degree turns allow Bob to continue in the same direction. The tutor is operated by No. 6 Flying Training School in partnership with Babcock International Group, primarily flying University Air Squadron students and RAF Air Cadets. There are 13 air experience flights across the UK that offer flights to up to 20,000 cadets each year. You can join the RAF Cadets if you're between 12 and 17 years old. In the opposite direction to the entry. In In the next manoeuvre, the 4-point roll, Bob will delicately use the rudder to support the nose above the horizon, whilst flying at 90 degrees angle of bank. You may have noticed the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund heart on the belly of the aircraft, seen since 2022 to celebrate this fantastic charity. The Benevolent Fund supports Royal Air Force personnel, air cadets and veterans whenever they are in need. We're proud to raise awareness for a charity that gives so much to the whole of the Royal Air Force family. Visit our tent, website or view our tutor display leaflets to access a QR code to donate to the Benevolent Fund. For those of you that are considering going to university, there are 15 university air squadrons across the UK. Students on university air squadrons are taught to fly the tutor by highly experienced military flying instructors like Bob. University air squadrons provide a huge opportunity for personal development, as well as a wide variety of adventure training in the UK and expeditions across the globe. We're now in the high energy section of the display, with the derry turn, the quarter clover, and now the loop, which is a quintessential aerobatic manoeuvre. As he pulls up, Bob is subject to 5G. He aims to pitch the aircraft around an imaginary circle in the sky. Even whilst inverted, the centrifugal forces keep him pressed into his seat. Today, the Royal Air Force is recruiting for multiple rewarding and demanding professions and has an exciting future with the continued development of our combat and maritime patrol aircraft and UK Space Command. They will soon be joined by the introduction of our airborne early warning. The high tempo of operations continues today with aircraft and personnel deployed around the world, operating with NATO and our other allies. Bob will now bring the tutor round for the final section of the display with another ballistic roll and half horizontal. I'd like to take this moment to say a big thank you to our supporters this season. They are the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund, Squadron Prince and Babcock, who have provided much of the merchandise we are giving out at our stand this season. Bob will now bring the tutor around for his departing wave. This is another great photo opportunity. If you look carefully, you should be able to see him waving, so please give him a big wave back. A big thank you to Clacton for hosting us today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the 2024 Royal Air Force Tutor Display.
Wow, superb. What a fantastic display for 2024 from the tutor team. Thank you so much, Lloyd, for that. And a little birdie tells me this is your last display with the team, is that right?
This is my last display, yes. So I've been on the season for 5 months with them now.
Okay, what's next for you then?
I'm going off to America for 3 months to go and train with the United States Air Force.
Wow, well, good luck with that. Thank you so much for being with us today. The team manager, Isabel Woods, is here.
As the aircraft make their way to the centre of the crown, just a beautiful wing over to the left. They're flying side by side, pulling up for a loop. The smoke is trailing. As they do the display, they will be flying from between 0 miles an hour at some points when they're upside down and just hanging, waiting to come over the top of the loop, all the way up to 200 miles per hour. The aircraft is stressed to fly +6 minus 3G. Now, what does that feel like? +6 is a bit like a large cow sitting on your chest, and flying an aerobatic plane is quite complicated, so it's also like doing a crossword while standing on your head. Flying for us this afternoon, we've got in the leader pilot. In the other aircraft is John Dodd, or Doddy. Now, both of these pilots have a huge amount of aerobatic experience. They've flown lots of historic aircraft over the years, but their day jobs, they both fly for British Airways as captains, so you may find when you go on your holidays that you've got aerobatic pilots at the helm. The aircraft flying way up high above our heads here on Clacton Beak. The smoke is trailing a really lovely tight wing over to the left and punching out towards the pier. We've got a fantastic smoke system on board. It's all environmentally friendly smoke. It takes a lot of work to get these aircraft ready for the shows, and that's all down to their ground crew engineer, Tom Everett, who's worked very hard across the weekend supporting the team, making sure the aircraft are ready. And those of you that were here last night will have seen them perform their pyrotechnic night display. So before today's display, they had to de-rig all of the pyrotechnic equipment before they could take off for today's show. As they pulled up to the top of a stall turn there, one aircraft flew behind the other on a crossover, and now they're flying in opposition. So one aircraft is flying directly towards the pier, the other aircraft flying towards the Jaywick end of the beach as they do a gentle aileron roll, smoke still trailing, punching out into that beautiful sunny sky here at Clacton this afternoon. Get ready for the opposition pass, and they're pulling up. Smoke is trailing. I think Ian is one of your favourite bits here, as we may see, oh no, not the heart, or sort of a heart. We've got a lopsided heart here this afternoon as the wind direction is pushing the smoke before they can even complete the manoeuvre.
Well, I'll take that. I'll have any kind of heart. You know me. God, what a fantastic display. Looking out from the commentary point to the left towards Clacton Pier, I can see loads of people at the end of Clacton Pier by the Jolly Roger, all listening to Radio Air Show, so good afternoon to you.
Flying in opposition now, one towards the other to the centre part of the beach. Smoke is trailing. They are going up, pulling up. It looks like this might be the second attempt of a heart. No, we're doing opposition stall turns. This is a fantastic aerobatic manoeuvre if you're doing aerobatic competition flying. It's really great fun. You get your airspeed on the horizontal, put your airspeed up, then you pull up as high as you can go. You get to the top and you hover momentarily, not moving, and then dip over the top, and then a little bit of rudder, adjust for a 45-degree angle and fly out. Now,